Thank you.
Supplement the milk grain would be a lot of things, a lot of material. This ship is quite unique in the fact that she can use in just about any port in the world, even if there are no docking facilities for the Cape May. The water is not deep enough for that ship to go to port. All the ship need to do is to anchor off the shore. The barge is created for the Cape May, keeping the water out of the water off of the ship's stern. Once the barges are in the water, a small boat like a tugboat will come out and meet the ship, push the barges to the port, to the river, for that matter, right into a beach, blow them off of the barges to the cargo. That makes Cape May do right reversal. The ship sent to these piers is a 5-day operational status. Now beyond Pier 3, along the international terminals that have this here right, we're now looking at the largest naval operating base in the world, which is Naval Station, Norfolk, Virginia. The base where it was established here in 1917. Just 3 years ago, Naval Station will be celebrating its 100th birthday in Norfolk. The base was built on a foot of land on the Sruise Point. The present day it occupies about 3,400 acres, which also makes it the largest military base in the world, home to just under 90 warships, nearly 100,000 men and women at Norfolk Airport, and adjacent to the base and shore ahead of us, you're right, the Naval Air Station is about 150 aircraft that are stationed here as well. Piers ahead of us are referred to as the D and S, or the destroyer and submarine piers. The piers of the base are also numerically numbered. For example, the first pier coming up on the right today is Pier 1. On this side of Pier 1, the large white ship with the red crosses is the United States Naval Hospital ship Comfort. Our Navy operator maintained 2 hospital ships, the Comfort and Sunport on the east coast of Norfolk, Virginia. She has a sister ship named Mercy, headquartered out on the west coast out of San Diego, California. Now, the ship to your right, the Comfort, and her sister ship Mercy, at one time were both Clifton-class commercial oil tankers. At one time, these tankers were used to carry crude oil from Alaska down to California. Many years ago, the Navy acquired the tankers, converting both of them into 1,000-bed hospital ships. Aboard the Comfort and 12 operating rooms, all the modern amenities you would find at any modern hospital in the U.S. and aboard hospital ships like the Comfort and Mercy. Ordinarily, ships like this are laid up in a reduced operational status and can be activated during emergency and out of war. As many of you know, this ship was deployed to New York Harbor because of COVID-19. She arrived in New York on the 30th of March, and during the month or so that the ship to your right was there, she was needed very little COVID work, did a lot of other medical procedures on the ship, but very little COVID work on the Comfort. When the Navy activated a ship like this, the ship is crewed from the Navy by the embassy or military sealift command, exhibiting similar to the American version of Marine Academy, given operated by the military sealift command. It's noted by the light blue bandages on the stack. Comfort's very automated, requires a crew of only 71 per actual operation. Now, as far as staffing the ship with medical personnel, when the Navy activated the Comfort, they would pull a lot of the staff from the Naval Regional Medical Center Enforcement. These explained earlier, this 40 fully staffed the Comfort 2 run accommodates roughly 1,200 medical personnel at port. This is a very large ship. She's 896 foot long, 104 foot across the beam. The Comfort sits at these piers again in a reduced operational status. She's one of 2 hospital ships operated and maintained by the United States Navy. Let's now move to the second command base, and that's going to be Pier 2. We'll find a total of 4 ships on Pier 2 to our right. Let's start off with the 2 ships at the end of the pier. There's one on the side. Those 2 ships are both very identical. Both those are classified as LSDs, or landing ship docks, and equipping on the class. These are amphibious assault ships. Our Navy operates a lot of different classes of assault ships, and they all operate pretty much the same principles like the 2 ships ahead of us here, right? These 2 ships have on the interior what they call an interior well deck, which they have the ability to flow with water. And when the well deck comes on these ships are flooded, it would cause them to sink on their stern by an additional 12 to 13 feet. At that point, they actually open a door on the ship's stern called a stern gate. With the gate open, the well deck flooded. It allows them to float in or out of the ship's well decks. They ride a landing craft and also what are called LCACs. LCACs are air cushion vehicles that ride on the cushion of air right above the surface of the water. They have great advantages over the Navy's traditional landing craft. The LCACs are very fast. They're also very maneuverable. The great advantage they have is when they hit the beach, they can continue to glide on a cushion of air right over land. Theoretically, the Marines ride them into the beaches. They won't even have to get their food sweat. These ships are identical. They're 609 foot long. They're approximately 80 feet across the beam. They carry a crew of around 340 and accommodating up to 4 Marines. Ship on this side of the pier is Hull 44. The USS Gunston Hall, and to our left is Hull 50, which is named the USS Norfolk. These are both landing ship docks. Directly ahead of the 2 landing ship docks are 2 other warships, one on the side of the pier. Those 2 ships are both Ticonderoga or Aegis class guided missile cruisers. The ships were identical from the night they got off. We saw that early in the tour of the day. These were the first ships in our Navy to come online with advanced action digital computer defense system known as Aegis. Navy built 27 ships in this class. They were coming online in the mid-80s to the 90s, but the 27 built 22 of them remain in service today, and 26 and the 27 built, including two ships here, right, were named for famous battles. A ship on this on the pier named for the Battle of Anzio. A ship on the left on the pier is named for the Battle of Waste City. And we're going to see some ships at the same time. And the next pier is going to go on right. We'll get a close-up view of the other ones, so we'll get more detail about the ages of cruises at that time. Now let's jump up to the third pier, the base, and plan to speed up a little bit to get the view here. The three piers we often refer to as the submarine pier. It's called the Virginia. It only has submarines on the pier. They mean larger subs and very prolific missiles are stationed to the southwest down the Kings Bay, Georgia, with only attack subs. Things have not changed since yesterday. We'll probably see a little more submarines on Pier 3 to the right. First off, we'll show you the submarines. It'll actually be pretty good to do what's fun. They're hard to locate. One thing, not a lot of largest subs that carry ballistic missiles are stationed to the south of San Kings Bay, Georgia. There's one sub on this side of Pier 3 all the way inshore to the right. The submarine, again, totally black in color. There's an orange hose floating in the water around the exterior of the sub. That is a new Virginia-class attack submarine. Newest and finest new added to the fleet, considered super high speed, super quiet, and deep diving. That submarine is considered 77 foot long, 33 foot across the beach, and 20 foot long. The left side of Pier 3. And there's one at the end of the pier, one about midway down. The third one's all the way inshore from the left side of the pier. The two on the left side of the pier that are closest to us, including the one at the end of the pier, are what they call 688 of Los Angeles class attack subs. They're not the newest in the fleet, but are also considered super high speed, super quiet deep diving. The subs are a little smaller, 360 feet long, 30 feet across the beach, and weigh about 127. Third sub on the left side of the pier, all the way inshore to the right, is a new Virginia class attack sub. So a total of 4 subs here on Pier 3. 2 of them are Virginia-class attack subs, and 2 of them are Los Angeles-class attack submarines. All the subs on the speed of the wider powerful plummet atomic reactor. The core and their reactor plants will power these submarines for about 15 to 20 years between refuelings, equivalent to a distance of over 1 million miles in steaming time. Speed on the surface of 20 knots and dive 30 knots plus. Top speed is classified information. If you did not know, a knot is equal to about 1 weight of 1 hour. Now, the primary mission of an attack submarine, like these far right, would be to engage and destroy the enemy sub. These subs are very versatile. They can also line claim these targets hundreds of miles away using the long-range land attack missile autonomy. They can also engage and destroy the enemy submarine submarine utilizing the world's most advanced torpedo. It is called a Mark 48 torpedo. It's a heavyweight Mark-guided torpedo that has an effective range of 23 miles. It travels or can travel at speeds in excess of 70 miles an hour. The ability to track and chase the enemy submarine to depths of over 3,000 feet. Whether launched to engage an enemy sub or surface ship, the torpedo delivers a 650-pound high explosive warhead. Standard patrol time for the attack subs run around 45 days. Some of that or all of that is under the water, no matter what kind of the surface. Let's jump up now to the next pier. That's Pier 4. This is probably at least 2 ships on Pier 4 to our right today. The large ship on this side of the pier is hull number 24, which is named the USS Arlington. The Arlington is one of the Navy's new San Antonio-class LPDs, or landing platform docks, the newest type of assault ship in the fleet. There are now 8 of them in operation, including the ship to your right. Operates like the other assault ships in the fleet, but just on a somewhat larger scale. The ship has a huge interior well deck to fill up water, propagated on stern for floating in and out landing crafts and hovercraft. Half deck accommodates a variety of attack and transport helicopters. The ship's 684 foot long. She's 105 foot across the beam and will carry a crew of around 361, so it's a highly automated ship, and she will accommodate up to 800 Marines. The 2 very unusual looking superstructure on the ship are called advanced enclosed mast systems. This is the first class of ship the Navy has built to incorporate this type of mast system in the ship's actual construction. A couple of principles involved with the design. One is to protect the weather. A lot of the ship's sensor gathering equipment, radar systems, communication systems, and those systems used to gather information and equipment to protect the weather because of enemy service information reasons. The second feature in that design is stealth technology, radar imaging. This instruction is built to try at angles and sloping surfaces. When a radar signal strikes a surface of that type, the signal is deflected off at an angle rather than directly back to its center. For instance, the ship flight ever presented to be as big a target on radar as a ship that has all flat and squared surfaces. The Arlington was named in honor of those that lost their lives in the attack of the Pentagon on 9/11. If you look on the vertical aft structure ship, you'll now see an outline of the Pentagon main ship. She was built at Eagle Shipyard in Pensacola, Mississippi. But prior to construction beginning on the Arlington, the Navy had actually acquired a lot of the damaged steel from the Pentagon after the attack had taken place. When the construction began on the ship, the Navy had taken that steel from the Pentagon and began recycling it. A recycled steel from the Pentagon was incorporated in the construction of the bow of the USS Arlington. Ship to your right has a sister ship named number 21, USS New York, and is recycled steel for bow stem from the World Trade Center. So get to your right, the USS Arlington. This is an LPD landing platform dock of the San Antonio class. We'll see a couple more ships in the same class in the base in just a few minutes. So let's talk about some Aegis equipped ships now. On the left side of the pier for the Arlington, we're going to find two of the Arleigh class guided missile destroyer ship closest to us is number 57, the USS Mitchell. Behind the Mitchell is hull number 103, the USS Truxton. And on the side of the next pier, two more Aegis equipped ships. One closest to us, stern facing in our direction, is hull number 109, the USS Jason Dunn. Ahead of the Jason Dunn, somewhat larger ship is number 56, the USS San Jacinto. That's a Ticonderoga Aegis class guided missile cruiser. And there's one more Arleigh berth on the left side of the next pier, number 74, which is named the USS McFall. All four of the ships I've just pointed out to you today, and actually five of them of these equipped ships to your right, are equipped with the world's most advanced naval weapon system that is known as Aegis. The word Aegis is a Greek word that means shield. The shield referred to on these ships is a superior air defense system. The primary function or goal of the Aegis equipped ship is to escort and to defend the battlegroup from airstrike. But these ships are versatile. They can strike land-based targets from hundreds of miles away, engage and destroy enemy surface ships and submarines, but they specialize primarily in air defense. At the heart of the Aegis system, the ships to your right carry aboard a new type of radar. It's called Spy-1. Direct your attention to the upper structure of the ships. You'll find on their upper structure what look like some 8-sided or octagon-shaped plates. These plates are kind of shaped like stop signs. You'll find also these plates have painted a slightly lighter gray color than the surrounding area. Located in any of those 8-sided plates on these ships, you've just located the heart of the Aegis system. Spy-1 is a fixed or a stationary radar system. Even the ships to your right will carry 4 on board. Radars are essential to limit signals in a 360-degree radius completely around the ship. Spy-1 actually allowed the ships to your right to track over 1,000 targets at the same time. While tracking all these targets, the ship can also keep tabs on friendly aircraft and friendly ships that operate within the vicinity. At the same time, they can also determine those targets considered to be hostile. Once a target has been verified as hostile, Aegis has the ability of selecting an appropriate weapon, then launching that weapon to engage and to destroy the threat. The entire process from start to finish takes only fractions of a second, which is really amazing. Ships to your right are heavily armed. They all carry on board a fully automated 5-inch gun mount. They also carry on board close-in weapons called Vulcan phalanx. We'll tell you more about in a couple minutes. But in addition to the gun system, the ships to your right will also carry on board an array of missiles. On board these ships, most of their weaponry is launched through what is called a VLS, or vertical launch system. Simply put, missiles are stored and launched in vertical cells located below the ship's main deck. Most of the Arleigh berths will carry 90 missiles of vertical launch. Newer ships of the class will carry 96 missiles of vertical launch. Whereas the cruisers like the San Jacinto we did one out a few months ago carries 122 missiles of vertical launch. Now the advantage to having missiles launched through a VLS or vertical launch system allows the ships to get a rapid offload of many types of missiles at the same time, enabling them to engage and to destroy many different targets at once. This will greatly increase the survivability of the ship's military capability to defend the ships within the surrounding battle group. The most important weapon deployed from an Aegis-equipped ships, the SM-2 Block 3 standard surface-to-air missile, will allow these ships to your right to engage and destroy high-performance aircraft or incoming missiles about 70 miles out. Select ships can carry aboard the extended-range version of that missile, giving those ships the ability to engage and to destroy a short to an intermediate-range ballistic missile in its initial takeoff. Not all the ships have that capability, but several of them do. It's part of the United States Navy's anti-ballistic missile defense program. These ships all carry aboard the long-range land attack missile called Tomahawk that allow them to strike land-based targets from hundreds of miles away. To be engaged, the enemy surface ship over the horizon with a low-flying sea-suit missile called Harpoon. They all have excellent anti-submarine warfare capabilities. Aboard these ships, they carry what is called the Mark 46 torpedo. They can also launch from their aft decks helicopters with a system in detecting, locating, and destroying the enemy submarine. The older ships of the Arleigh class are 505 foot long. The newer ones are 4 foot long. They're 509 foot. These ships have beams of 59 foot across. They're anchored around 340. Cruisers are a bit larger in size, 566 foot long, 55 foot across the beam with a crew of right around 375. So again, that's all the Aegis ships we just pointed out to you. And on the next pier to the right, we're going to point out three more Aegis-equipped ships. The ship on the side of the pier all the way in shore on the right is an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile to shore, the James Williams. And on the left of the pier, James Williams, is number 72, which is the USS Naval, Battalion Underwood-class cruiser. And on the left side of the pier at the end, we'll find another ship wearing the same hull, number 72, which is an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile to shore, named USS Naval. By the way, two ships in the fleet have the same hull number, but they would never be in the same classification. Ship of the United was the Swiss and Arleigh Burke, the ship 100, the you left will find a very large bulk carrying ship more than late. The ship is bound for the Norfolk Southern coal fields of the coal. She's emptying the sun of the ship for parts of the piers, maybe a day and a few days now. All that lighter red beam on the side of the ship was set will surface the water. Let's point out to a ship on the left side of this pier to the right, which is going to be number 72, the Han. There's a weapon on this ship I'm going to point out to you. We've kind of mentioned this weapon a couple of times today, but have not yet had the opportunity to point it out. The weapon's called Vulcan Phalanx. Now, looking at Vulcan Phalanx on number 72 to our right, first of all, focus your attention on the upper forward structure of the ship. You'll see a row of windows. That's the location of the bridge and pilot house on that ship where most of our operations are controlled. Once you've located the windows, look below them on a platform with a forward structure. The pod sets what looks like an elongated light gray. Two very unusual looking superstructures. That's another one of the LPDs or landing platform docks of the San Antonio class of ships like the Arlington we pointed out to you a few minutes ago. That one to your right is number 19, the USS Mesa Verde. And thus far, this is the only class of ship in the fleet that has very unusual and super-looking superstructures that are called advanced enclosed mass systems. Next ship coming up on our right on the side of Pier 9 is number 5. And number 5 is named the USS Baton. Her classification is LHD, or what the Navy call a landing helicopter dock ship. At the very beginning of our tour this morning, we pointed out to you a large ship in a privately owned shipyard. That one was number 3, the USS Kearsarge, which is identical to number 5 to our right, the Baton. And in this class in operation, we've already mentioned that these are the largest amphibious assault ships in the world. Their primary mission, land the Marines and equip them to a house on the beach. Accomplished by landing craft and hovercraft. The ship will carry inside an interior well deck. The ship also will accommodate between 30 to 35 aircraft aboard that will range from a variety of attack and transport helicopters. Right on now, the 6 Harriers that are carried aboard the ship. Harriers are jump jets, so you have the ability of vertical liftoff. Therefore, they would not require a catapult system to be launched on the flight deck. Harriers aboard that ship as a means of air support for the Marines during assaults. Baton is a big ship with a battle load that is a 42,000-ton warship, mixed with the approximate size of an Essex-class World War II aircraft carrier, 844 foot long. That ship is 105 foot across her beam and will carry a crew of 1,200. Baton also accommodates up to 1,900 Marines. I think you'll find this rather amazing. We're the 8 ships in this class, including to the right, which should include the ship on the right, number 5, which is the USS Baton. Extensive medical facilities. There's a 600-bed hospital on that ship, a 21-bed trauma unit, 21-bed intensive care unit, 6 operating rooms. Not only the great amphibious assault ships, but also great Mediterranean ships as well. The left Baton is a number 17. That is the San Antonio, the ship of the San Antonio class LPDs on landing platform docks. Then the Arlington and the Mesa Verde. We just pointed out to you again, the this class in operation, newest type of assault ship in the fleet. The last piers at Naval Station Norfolk, now coming up on our right, are referred to as the aircraft carrier piers. It's the piers 11, 12, and 14. If you're wondering what happened at Pier 13, there is no Pier 13 at Naval Station Norfolk. The Navy is superstitious about that, never like the rest of us. The last piers to our right today, we'll see 3 of the largest, 3 of the mightiest warships in the world. Have us get right like 3 of the United States Navy's super aircraft carriers. Go right, the carrier closest to us is CVN-74, the USS Johnston, which is a Nimitz-class carrier. We're currently at Nimitz-class in operation. To the other side of the pier from the Stennis, the newest commissioned carrier in the fleet. That's CVN-78, is the USS Gerald R. Ford. It was commissioned about 3 years ago. Commissioned about 3 years ago. The ship's been out on a lot of sea trials, but the Navy has not yet released the Ford for deployment. The Navy added so much new technology to the ship, believe it or not, they're having some problems working out some of the glitches with that technology. Ford's been in and out of a lot of sea trials, but has not yet been deployed yet. So they're still working to getting some of those problems worked out in the Gerald Ford. The third carrier, which is much further ahead of us to your right, is another Nimitz-class ship like the John Stennis to your right. That one is number 69, the Dwight David Eisenhower. The Ike Underscoring Group returned to Norfolk about 2 weeks ago. What turned out to be a 206-day deployment. Consecutive days at sea. We'll tell you more about deployment when we get closer to the Ike in a few minutes. So let's begin by telling you what these 3 ships have in common to our right. Our Navy classified them as super carriers because they're all over 1,000 foot long. In fact, all 3 ships you are the same length. They're all 1,090 feet long. The extreme abreast of the flight deck from Nimitz-class ships like the John Stennis and the Dwight Eisenhower, 252 feet. The flight deck on the Gerald Ford is 4.5 foot wide, or 256.5 foot wide. These ships here wide are the equivalent of a 24-story building from the bottom of the keel to the top of the mast. The structure on their flight deck is the island. It's where most of their operations are controlled. On the island of the Gerald Ford, she'll bear the hull number 78, telling us she was the 78th and second of the planned aircraft carrier for the United States Navy. I might give you a concept that are ideal how big these ships are. The flight deck on these ships here covers an area of over 4.5 acres. The flight deck with just one of these ships, they could have 4 football games going on at the same time and would still have room for spectators. When fully loaded, about 39 feet of these ships are below the surface of the water. Channel depths in this harbor run between 50 to 55 foot deep. They carry aboard several million gallons of fuel. These ships actually refuel a lot of the fleet to go to sea with them, as well as all the aircraft that they carry. Technically, each ship carries between 100 to 110 tactical aircraft. With the like of the ships deployed, they do so with about 80 to 85 aircraft. And that would depend on the type and size they're using. The aircraft aboard the Nimitz ships like the John Stennis and the Dwight Eisenhower are launched into the air by the use of steam-powered catapults at a speed of up to 165 miles an hour. Very capable of launching the first aircraft in 1 minute, one every 15 seconds or after. Each of the ships carry 4 of these steam-powered catapults. Gerald Ford, Dwight number 78, she has something no other carrier in the world has on board that ship of 4 electromagnetic catapult systems. The electromagnetic systems are made by a system of linear electric motors that line the flight deck on that ship. Simply energizes motors with electricity, propels an aircraft off of the airspeed of up to 165 miles an hour, but has a very smooth and even acceleration. It's not the constant jolt that the aircraft would receive by launch by steam-powered catapults. So it's less wear and tear on the airframes on the aircraft. Also, all the steam is not running through the entire ship. Steam is very corrosive, so some great advantages to the new electromagnetic system on the Gerald Ford. The ships COI also carry aboard 4 elevators. They're flight elevators used to bring aircraft on the hangar deck to the flight deck. Looking well ahead of us, COI number 69 to Dwight Eisenhower, getting a good view down to the starboard right side. 3 of those elevators are located on the side of the ship, and where the large oval openings are, the location of the elevators. The openings are entrances to the hangar deck where the aircraft is short out of the weather. Above or below each of the openings are flight elevators. When the elevators are up, they would become part of the flight deck. All 3 ships COI are atomic powered. They're all powered by 2 large atomic reactors. The cores and the reactor plants for powering these ships are 25 years or longer between refuelings. That would be equivalent to a distance of well over 1 million miles in steam time. Reactors on these ships are designed to generate steam. Most of that steam is used to turn their 4 steam turbines and combined can generate 280,000 shaft horsepower. You're going to find this hard to believe. These 3 ships have top speeds of close to 50 miles an hour. That makes it impossible to push anything that large with the air resistance that fast, much less the water resistance. With the airmen aboard the Nimitz-class ships, they would each carry a crew of 6,000. The crew of 6,000 that means that aboard a Nimitz carrier, they're serving aboard one of those ships about 18,000 meals a day. I just like to get stuck with washing those dishes. Other than that, I just like to pay for the grocery bill. I'll get these for you, do. If you're curious, the grocery bill of one of the Nimitz-class ships runs the U.S. taxpayer is over $1 billion a month. Gerald Ford COI to do ships is also very automated. The automation of board the Ford allows the ship to carry roughly 1,500 fewer crew members than those in the Nimitz-class when the Ford was to sea. This over the crew around 4,500, and that does save a little bit on the groceries fulfilled. The ships COI are complete cities within themselves. They carry practically everything aboard anyone could ever ask for. We used to say except women, but that's not true anymore. About 25 years ago, our Navy started to assign women aboard ships that carry combat status. Carriers like the 300 Light have at least 500 or more women living and working aboard them, performing the same tasks and the duties on board these ships as their male counterparts. On these ships, you'll find banks, barber shops, butcher shops, bakeries, repair shops, a hospital, dental offices, operating rooms, a religious chapel. For the most part, they're air-conditioned throughout for the comfort of the crew. These carriers were to go to the West Coast, they'd have to stay around South America. They're much too wide and they're much too long to pass and long down. All 3 were built in Newport News, Virginia. The oldest of the 3 ships coming over the right, number 69, the Dwight Eisenhower, commissioned in 1977. John Stennis, number 74, was commissioned in 1995. In fact, he arrived at Gerald Ford. That's a new ship commissioned about 3 years ago. Revealed to you right today, what you're looking at are 3 of the largest and 3 of the mightiest warships in the world of battle loads. These are 100,000-ton ships. You can always phrase that as 100,000 tons of deployments. Price tags, if you're curious, there were 10 Nimitz carriers built, equivalent to John Stennis and Dwight Eisenhower. The Nimitz carriers, they average the cost of flying $5 billion apiece, with the exception of the George Bush. It was a 10 Alaska class build, commissioned in 2009, and built at a cost of $6.3 billion. If you think that's expensive, listen to this. The price tag on the 04 was a whopping $12.6 billion, twice what it cost to build in that area. The reason the Ford was so expensive to build, there are a couple of reasons. One, the least any class to build are always the most expensive ones to construct. The Ford has all this new technology on board, and as I mentioned, it's still working on some of the kinks and problems we have with some of the new technology on the ship, but they'll get that all worked out fairly soon. But that drove the price tag up on the Ford to a whopping $12.6 billion. The two more like are under construction in Newport News, Virginia. And believe it or not, they can claim the next two coming along will be a little cheaper to build. The next one coming online for the Ford will be commissioned about a year and a half from now. Will be for President John F. Kennedy. One more Nancy Kennedy will be for the Enterprise. Previous Navy carrier serving the fleet having his name is John Kennedy and also named Enterprise. Over the distance, as you ride beyond that rock jetty, you'll see another bridge crossing the water. That is the bridge section of the Enterprise Bridge Tunnel. Interstate 64, if you were the 64 West, that take you to Hampton, Leesburg, Richmond, and other points west. And joining the left of the bridge to your right, there's a small island, which is Fort Ball, and old Civil War fort. A lot of construction forward supervised are already leaving back in 1803. To the left of Fort Ball and to our right, coming to the beach to our right, is a huge opening, which is the entrance to Chesapeake Bay. It's also the way to the Atlantic Ocean. Atlantic is about 17 miles from the Naval. An area of land to the left of the opening, and as you like, is the city of Hampton, Virginia. There's a huge brick building on the Hampton shoreline, which is the Chamberlain Hotel that dominates Old Point Harbor. Located behind and to the right of the Chamberlain Hotel, you can also find Portland Road. In the distance to our left, Newport News. And Newport News is Newport News Shipbuilding, now a division of Huntington Ingalls. Years ago, they were known as Newport News Shipbuilding Product Corporation. At one time, they were the largest shipbuilders in the world. At one time, they were also Virginia's largest employer, employing at yard 34,000. The Huntington Ingalls employs about half of that number. They're busy. They just completed construction on the 04. Two Norfolk class carriers on construction yard, as well as a couple more than they new Virginia class attack submarines. And the aircraft carrier John Stennis, I'm pointing out to you a few months ago, was bound for Newport News Shipbuilding in December of this year. The life expectancy of a Nimitz carrier like the Ike and the John Stennis is actually about 50 years. At midpoint in a life of a carrier like the Stennis, maybe going to pull the ship to service. That ship will go to Newport News and we're going to call a comprehensive overhaul of the fueling operations. The work that will be performed with the Stennis will take about 5 years and will also cost the taxpayer approximately $5 billion. This will achieve the building of the carrier, but the Stennis returns to service with our body.